imagine someone like that. They let out and they're guilty.
That's
But
crazy.
just for them to commit another crime.
Right? Have I become your enemy?
Because I tell you the truth.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, 2UC. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining to Unpolitically Correct. We're so glad to have you. This is going to be a part 2 to our initial video. We wanted to go a little more in depth regarding the details of the case because there's some new information that came in that we wanted to discuss. We want to talk about Bryan Kohberger and his personality traits that mirror the Jezebel Spirit, which is also known as Narcissistic Personality Disorder. We are going to first get started with a screen share.
New and disturbing insights into the mental state of Bryan Kohberger, the PhD criminology student accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. The New York Times has uncovered online posts from his past that paint a picture of an isolated and depressed teenager. In one post, Kohberger writes, "I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse." And in another, "As I hug my family, I look into their faces. I see nothing. It is like I am looking at a video game."
Amy, what do you think about these two comments? I don't know if you saw the show. I do not recommend anybody to watch this. Please don't watch this. I watched the show Dexter, and that's what it reminded me of, because he would say the same things. Like, he would look into people's faces and he couldn't feel anything. And the only time
the show Dexter you would say too?
Yeah.
He probably watched it.
Because he was a psychopath.
Yeah, he probably watched it because remember he was studying criminals and stuff like that, killers and stuff.
Him describing how he looks at people's face, his family, and he doesn't see anything. Those are all traits of a psychopath, because they can't feel. They can't feel like we can. You know how we could feel love? Yeah. We could feel like these emotions. We could feel attachment. They can't feel those things. So
yes, that's crazy though that you look, because your family, because he said my family.
Yeah, right? It's his own family.
Yeah, you see nothing. It's like I'm looking at a video game. When I read that, I'm like, how does that feel?
I guess it's like there's no connection at all. Like, you don't feel any type of emotional connection. And he also said that he doesn't feel any remorse at all. Like, he can do things without feeling remorse. And that's another trait of a psychopath. Because a psychopath, they have difficulty with showing remorse or empathy.
Remorse, yeah. I can't wait for the trial, which is going to be in June. I want to see his expression and everything. If he is just going to be cold sitting there, or is there's going to be some type of expression, on his face or with his body language or something,
I feel like there's going to be no expression. He's just going to continue looking like his spaced out look that he has with, with no soul, basically, I think he's just going to look. I don't think he's going to show any emotion or anything. And if he does, it's probably fake. He seemed like he will probably have a hard time pretending.
He best not say not guilty.
Kaylee Anthony, remember? If that mom could get off scot-free, anything is possible.
Oh, no. We're not accepting that.
Kathy, let me start with you first. How typical is it to learn that a suspected killer viewed their own life as it were a video game without emotion? I mean, when you hear about something like that, some of this starts to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I find these texts really fascinating, and they give us some really, I think, important insights as to what Bryan Kohberger was feeling during his teen years, where he was experiencing a dark period, right? We have him addicted to heroin at the time. He's talking about suicidal ideation. He's talking about this lack of emotion that certainly we see evidenced at the crime scene.
From the time we heard or know about this crime and we know of him, right, Bryan, he's just so expressionless. I just, saw the glimpse of him going in the court, and he just have like a what do you call it, poker face?
Yeah,
oh
basically.
My goodness, like, there's just nothing, like,
just like at his graduation. Because remember when we were talking about him at his graduation, and we were saying how he didn't smile at anything. It's not a surprise that he said that he doesn't have any remorse. It's no surprise.
I need to hear him speak. I never heard him speak as yet. Have you heard him speak?
No, I imagine him to be like a monotone, like have a monotone voice. Maybe he'll sound like the Clear Eyes guy. You know the commercial?
Clear
The Clear
eyes.
Eyes. I don't, that's how I imagine. In my head, that's how he sounds.
Clear
I'm not
eyes
sure.
guy.
I don't know his name. Sorry, Clear Eyes guy. I don't know your name.
There's still no indication that he knew any of the victims, and it is such a personal and hateful crime. And yet, you know, as Kathy could underscore, every offender in the serial killer or mass murderer field is going to be highly individualized. Each one is different. That's a given. And yet there are common traits that run across these offenders. And one of them, and he kind of reads us through this in these emails, is an inability to feel sympathy, no relationship with empathy, an inability to feel guilt or remorse, which of course is the combination, the emotional cocktail that allows them to do the things they do, and then to be able to repeat those acts again if they're not stopped.
That's definitely a sign of somebody who has a demon.
Oh yes. Oh, definitely. He definitely does.
Right.
He definitely does, Marge.
Yes.
Come on now.
He can't feel empathy. That's definitely a trait. And there's a lot of people walking around who can't feel empathy and they haven't committed murders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They have no feel or nothing.
Have you ever run across those type of people where it's like the way they act or when they get angry is like their words are so sharp that it's kind of like they committed murder without actually committing murder? I don't know if you ever met those type of people, but those people could be very scary.
Oh yes.
Scripture does talk about how, you know, we can commit murder with our words. I can't remember what scripture it is, but
yeah, because you don't have to commit murder to actually like this tongue, like, you know, it's very powerful, you know.
Certain people, all you have to do is just push the right buttons, you know, and who knows?
And oh my gosh, you probably regret that you even try to push those buttons.
Right?
Because then they talk about, it's a trigger, and some trigger, you trigger them goodness.
Oh my goodness. That reminds me.
You could reverse that tape, press that, what do you call it? The rewind button. Like, oops, sorry I did that.
That reminds me of this video I recently saw with this girl. She stabbed this other girl because they got into an argument over, I guess the girl was saying that she couldn't find her phone. And the girl was saying, it's right here. How come you can't see it? And I guess she was getting annoyed that the girl couldn't see her phone. The girl who was talking about how she, where's my phone? She became upset and she said, oh, why are you acting so childish? Just show me where the phone is. And then she's like, oh, I'll show you crazy, basically, because the girl said, oh, you know, you acting a bit crazy. So she's like, oh, you want to see crazy? I'll show you crazy. And she stabbed her like 6 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's possession. That right there, Marge, possession.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And John, this detail in the Times that the suspect became fascinated with criminal psychology, said he hoped to provide counseling for high-profile criminals. I mean, that's a wrinkle that you don't see in many of these types of cases.
I want to look at eyes too long.
This is highly unusual, but it's also, in this case, there are so many things that really beg to be dug into more. If you look at the posting he did as part of his master's project, asking criminals to come in and be.
That smile look really forced. What do you think?
That's a grim smile. That's a grim.
Yeah. It's like he's trying to show emotion. He's trying to show it, but it looks like he doesn't feel it, right? You know how?
I wonder when he sit down in jail, if he probably like, oh, what did I study? What did I study about this murder? What did he say? What did this person say? What did BTK say about this? Because I don't want to slip up. You know, I wonder if he's kind of rehearsing while he's sitting down in jail so he could prepare himself. You get me? That's why I'm like, I wonder what his thoughts while he's waiting for trial.
Yeah, he probably does. And he probably practices his facial expressions. I think Dexter did the same thing. Like, I think I remember an episode where he was like practicing facial expressions and practicing what he was gonna say. So he probably does that because he knows the cameras are gonna be all up in his face, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he practices and rehearses to look like a regular human being because he knows he's not.
Regular.
Yeah, he was asking women if they live alone. What regular person said ask that?
Yeah, if you live alone. Isn't that creepy? Come up to you and ask, do you live alone? Oh my goodness. Like, boy, bye.
He clearly doesn't understand social cues.
He lucky he never got shot.
Oh my. That's crazy. This dude had no social, he had no what do you call it? Self-awareness.
Yeah, because my thing is like, why are you asking women if they live alone? Like, sometimes people ask you some weird questions. You're like, why are they asking me that? Like, what's in the back of your head if I say, yes, I live alone? What's your intention?
Right. That's why he didn't have self-awareness, because it's like he's asking the question, but he's not thinking about how the other person is perceiving the question.
No.
He probably just wanted to know so he could do whatever. Who knows what he wanted to do to these women.
He interviewed with him as the coordinator about the psychological traits of decision-making during their crimes. What were you thinking when you did this violent act? How did it make you feel? What was your plan? What, if anything, did you leave behind? On one hand, you could say that was a study, although the structure is very non-academic. On the other hand, you could say that this was, as Mary Ellen O'Toole posited last night, this was an act of voyeurism, meaning these interviews would allow him to immerse himself in feelings that he was having by experiencing them through others.
Those are questions that he's asking because he wants to know how other people who are like him feel, like if they feel the same way he does.
Yes, that's why you got to that be careful of the people that will ask too much questions.
Right?
That is disturbing. And Kathy, the New York Times says that one of Kohberger's friends told them, or told this individual, he suffered from a neurological condition called visual snow, where people see scattered dots like static on a TV. And one of the posts says, and I'm reading here, it is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all the demons in my head mocking me.
Right there, the demons.
We talk about it, Marge.
Yes.
Here we go. You see, it coming from out. So when we come up here and talk about these demons and stuff like that, listen, it's coming from a man who did all of this stuff. He was possessed.
Exactly. And
possessed. There's no way about it. You cannot have a regular normal person. There's no way a normal person gonna go in somebody's house and do all of that what he did. They have been possessed.
And it's not a figure of speech, because I know some people be like, oh, it's just his figure of speech. No. This man is really demonized. That's no regular human being would go and kill 4 random strangers like that, unless there's something inside of them, some dark, evil force that's driving them to do such.
Exactly. It's this evil force that's, as he said, it's fuzzy and this vision and ringing in his ears is like demon in his head and he's mocking him. Remember in couple episodes back, Marge, I think I said it, where this person I know, like when they're driving, there is like something will tell them, okay, drive in this wall or drive faster, or it's this demonic spirit in their head that tell them that so this is the same thing. You get me?
Right.
It's the same thing. He said it. And that's why we brought up this case for the second time, because, we know that the things that this man did, the gruesome and just like immoral stuff that this man did, trust me, no normal person ain't gonna do that. That's why I'm like, okay, this man killed 4 people, stab them up like that and walk out, like, and he just in court, just like stone cold, heartless, like cold. It's still in him. You could even see that presence or demon is still inside that man if you look at him.
You definitely can see, you can see, how they say the eyes are the window to the soul? There's really some truth behind that saying that people always say. And when you look at him, he just gives off this dark type of presence. You look into his eyes, you just see that. Yeah, that demon is still there. Yep. And if they were to let him go,
no.
Yeah, he would have definitely done it again, but he would have been more careful.
Exactly. Marge, there's this story that I read, where this guy, he married this woman, right? She had 2 kids out of the marriage, right? I mean, before she met him, she came into the marriage with her 2 kids. And then she had a child with him. So it was 3 kids now they have all together. And this man killed his whole family, his wife, the 3 kids, right? He went to jail. He went to church too. So he was in church and all of that stuff. His mother is rooting for, writing letters to the courts. The pastor writing letter to the courts. Everybody, the whole family was backing him and saying, give him another chance. He's been doing good. They check his records and in jail that he's doing good. He didn't break no rules or anything, and they let the man out. I think it's 8 years that they give him. They give him in jail, right? After killing 4, your whole family, 4 people, right? So they let him out, right? And then this man now, he married the same pastor that wrote the letter to the jail that, okay, it's a good man, let him out, whatever. This man married this pastor's daughter, right? Married the daughter, and they had 3 kids or 2 kids. So she wanted to get a divorce and stuff like that, and all of that stuff from him. And then guess what the man do again? The man kill her and the kids again. Oh my God. Can imagine how that pastor felt like. He had a stroke, and this man cut the woman the ear from ear to mouth. Even when she was standing up in court talking and testifying, the blade thing still on her face and stuff like that. And I'm like, man,
she was so strong. She didn't even cry. I was like, man, cry, because I think she didn't want him to see her tears. I think that's what it was.
Exactly. So, what you let them out for? Them don't even deserve to stay in a general population. No, sir. All of them people that murder people, full of demons. Yeah. Full of demons, walking demons stand up inside of them. Them hear voices. They hear voices, all these stuff that's trigger them to do these things. They just use their body. They just need a vessel.
Right.
They need a vessel, Marge.
He probably was suppressing it for a long time. Like, he had all these feelings and he was suppressing it, and finally he was like, you know what? Because it's like the demon is just telling him, do it. Exactly. So eventually he just gave in too,
Exactly. Because as you say, as he said that, he'd be hearing ringing in his ears and fuzziness, and it's like, he hearing voices.
That's the spirit.
We're going to have, I think, more deep interviews of people who know Bryan well in order to understand that condition that he had and any impact it might have had on his behavior at the time or later in life. And if the condition still exists, we don't know that. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon prosecutors and investigators, and it's great now that they have a few more months to do this, to conduct these long behaviorally oriented interviews. When I was in the BAU, we had an instrument called the General Assessment Questionnaire that had 100 questions that probed into areas of an individual's life, their personality traits, their hobbies, their attitudes, and it was meaning to get more insight about their behaviors, because we have some, casual contacts that said, he's charming. Well, do we really know he's charming? Does he lack empathy? Is he cunning and manipulative? Is he controlling? Does he harbor misogynistic feelings?
Those are some of the traits that we talked about when we were talking about the Jezebel Spirit, also known as narcissism, right? One of the traits is being controlling and manipulative, right? And being like type of person that is just ruthless, basically.
Yes, ruthless is the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people coming out saying, they're talking about strange things about his personality. So we're kind of piecing together some of the traits that he has, and we're seeing that there's a lot of things that people notice about him that were abnormal.
People give you these signs and, they show you, who they are and stuff like that. Like you see little stuff, and make you like, oh, but you don't really think about it too much that, okay, there's something that's really going on with this person, that I really should actually, sit and talk with this person, or let that person try to seek, some type of help or something. But it's actually when the person actually commits a crime or, something that is so serious, then that's when we actually tap in and say, what I did see these traits with this person, but it actually didn't really dawn on me like that until no, it's really, my eyes are really open that, yeah, this person had these type of traits, but it was just going over my head.
You could see some red flags in somebody, but you don't think that they're capable of doing something like this. If you were to be in that time where he's acting weird, you wouldn't probably think that he'll be capable of murdering someone. You probably think, okay, maybe he's just a weird guy. Maybe he's just strange. Like there's just some things about him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not normal. But would you really think he's capable of murder?
That's why we talk about spiritual warfares, because when you have like a normal person, that's when you could like, okay, let me cancel out all those stuff, all the bad stuff, right? But when you have a demon that taps into that person's mind and, come into their, that's when we're dealing with a complete different thing. You're not dealing with the person. You get me? You're dealing with that spirit.
So you're saying like some odd behaviors that people have is not just because they're strange, but it's actually because they have a demon, and that you attribute that to the demon, right? Some people just have strange behaviors because they have a demon, and it's not just that they're weird. That's what you're saying.
It's not just that they're weird, because shoots, he was weird. People that was going to school with him say that he was weird, right? But I think like at a certain point, like these things, like it builds, until it's uncontrollable. So once it reaches to that point of you can't control yourself or control your thoughts, that's when that spirit comes in.
All of these things are going to be evident in people that know him well. Certainly, we're getting some indications of his personality through his online persona, but we need to understand him offline as well, because at some point the prosecutor is going to have to paint a picture of this individual to a jury, and they're going to have to make some connections in their head. Is this the kind of person, number one, physically capable, but number two, psychologically, emotionally capable of committing such heinous crimes?
And John Kohberger has maintained his innocence through his lawyer. But, I mean, given what we've discussed so far, there is a decent amount of evidence that police have, that investigators have in this case, do they not?
That is true. And I mean, we're going by the American standard, which is he is innocent until proven guilty. But when you look at the probable cause document, you can certainly see, based on the evidence that they've put forward, why he's charged in this case. And you can certainly see, and this is something that people really haven't focused on, is authorities in Pennsylvania that helped put together the arrest warrant and execute the arrest are now going very carefully backwards through Kohberger's entire history from the time those emails were written as an adolescent.
Yes, they need to do that. They need to go all the way back. They need to make sure to build this case. You get me? Because that's what I'm saying too. I want them to go all the way back from his adolescent stage, from all the way back everywhere where he visited, every place, where he could have went, or everything, touch every paper, follow every trail, to come all the way back, because we want to make sure that we build a solid case. You get me? Because we cannot, because as they say, you're innocent until proven guilty. Like right now, he's innocent.
I really think they should retrace his stats, because he probably committed a crime before. He hasn't been feeling emotions since he was a teenager, right?
Mhm.
That's a long time. Who knows? Maybe he killed a person and got away with it, and that's why he decided to kill 4
Exactly.
people.
Exactly. And you have a lawyer. You think she telling him what's going on or stuff like what the cops are doing and then trying to get more? I'm sure he knows probably, but is she keeping him up to date with what's going on? I hope not,
I have no idea.
because I do not want him to be doing no rehearsals in his head, which I'm sure he is.
Mhm.
But you know, for the evidence
Well-
and stuff that they
Well,
found,
well,
or
whatever
more evidence, I hope they're not putting it. They won't put it, you know, out in the news so the media and stuff can talk about it, because we don't want him to be overly prepared. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, regardless of whatever the lawyer tells him, whatever she tells him is going to be to help the case, because at the end of the day, she wants to win because that's her job, you know?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I hope
Yeah.
whatever evidence they found, like they
Mhm.
find more evidence on him, I hope they won't put it out there. You get me, in the
Yeah.
media, so that they could report it, so she could. You get me? So
But I
I
think,
just want.
not to cut you off, but I think that when it comes to law, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, whatever evidence they find, it has to be shared with like all the attorneys have to be aware. It's not like they could hide it. You understand? Like, it's not like the defense team could hide everything that they have. From what I've learned is that all the evidence that they have, it has to be known to both lawyers on both sides. But I could be wrong. But from what I know from watching law shows, that's what I'm aware of. Yeah.
Well, I hope not, like, because that would be like, no, you know, I don't want them to be overly prepared for this case, because he's very smart.
Well, not that smart because he got caught.
Well, not that smart, but I'm sure, like we said, we don't know if he committed a crime that he didn't know about.
There is an overarching theory that a multiple murder of 4 people in the middle of the night is probably not an offender's first act of violence. They're looking at unsolved cases. They're going to use that DNA to compare them to samples they have. They're looking for any stalking behavior. They're really kind of going backwards to say, was there something we missed here?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for him to go in and savagely murder 4 people, it just doesn't feel like it's his first time.
Not at all, you know, and I hope that they find other evidence and stuff that, you know, he didn't get to clean up as much, because he thought that he would have gotten away with this crime that he committed, you know, because he gotten away with others that he did. Imagine someone like that. They let out and they're guilty.
That's
but
crazy.
Just for them to commit another crime.
Right?
You see, my right eye is kind of looking a little lazy because we're recording at 1 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
1 o'clock in the morning, guys. That's how dedicated we are.
Dedicated. That's how dedicated we are to push these videos out to you guys.
Get those Mr. Bean clippers. Flip those lids back.
Yeah, Marge, she looking all refreshed and refined over there.
This is the lighting.
If you guys are following this case, please drop your comments down below. We love to hear from you. If you like it, however, please give us a thumbs up, like the video, also share our channel with your friends and family. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Marge, any final thoughts?
I just want to say, guys, pay attention to people around you. You know, I know Kim said in the last podcast that you can tell sometimes by people's demeanor what type of people they are, whether you should avoid them. So just be aware, be wise, use wisdom, ask God for discernment, and remember, watch and pray.
Watch and pray. So with that, guys, I'm going to ask, have I become your enemy? Because I tell you the truth. With that, I'm going to say, bye-bye.
Bye. The Holy Spirit opened up my eyes so I could see everything that I do. I can't even give credit to me. When I need the answers, first I go to God right on my knee. All illusions, confusions unveiled just like a trilogy. I pursue his truth, they think I lose, but I just pay the cost. I die daily so the Messiah can really be the boss. No ego can live within, cause just the spirit's being fed. They can talk but they can't destroy me because this flesh is dead. Our emotions can trick us and people can be so deceived. When the truth is painful, lies are chosen, you can be naive. If a third of angels fell from heaven cause they chose a lie, how you living making decisions and not ask the Most High? Know the wisdom of men is a bunch of foolishness to God. People trust their intelligence and they fall for the facade. When you keep it real, they rather have the people who are fake. They respond in anger, they get hot and spew out all the hate. They refuse the truth because that's when their darkness is revealed. On the day of judgment, all of our coverings will be peeled. Some have a form of godliness, yet the power they deny. They serve the God of science who mixes truth up with the lie. People praise him with their lips and their hearts are so far away. Are you ready for the King? Are you ready for the Lord's day?